Come here, we got the green light for the new rules last week, Liam, but Donegal put a red light on us, didn't they?
They did, Donal, yeah. They showed us how to play the new rules, really. And I suppose a lot of people were kind of coming out of us, but Killarney kind of desponded at the way Kerry played the weekend. You know, we were kind of back to the old Kerry system again of over and back the field and stuff like that. So the way I kind of look at it, right, it's our second game into it. We're probably adjusting to the rules, but you can see Donegal had a lot more work done with rules than what we did.
Rules aside, Liam, they just looked bigger, stronger,
fitter,
more physical, fitter, and they kept going longer. Maybe are they a side that are, people say they're a good bit more training than us, than the whole lot, but they looked more championship, where we looked maybe more league.
Yeah, but you know, and we've been saying that now the last couple of years. You know, we've been waiting. We're a bit behind. You know, we can't be constantly behind. Donald, there has to be something wrong, and what the fear I have is that Donegal have systems. And we struggle against teams that have systems. You know, Armagh will have a very good system in this, and I think like the northern teams will. Any team that will come out and really go football, and Derry did it last weekend. You know, it's enjoyable to watch and stuff like that. But the way Donegal set up the weekend, we had no answer to it. No, there was several times in the second half, myself and John spotted it, and we were up nice and high in the press box. We had 10 fellas outside the big arc, and we just didn't know what to do. You know, whether we're not doing anything in training yet at the moment on it or something like that, but Donegal have a lot of work. You could see a lot of work done on their kick-outs. No, the way that they were able to come into the middle and everyone was breaking, and if that option wasn't there, he was gone down. He was hitting over 65 with it. You know, so it's something that Kerry will have to look into. You know, in a big way. And I just think that, you know, and I said it to you earlier, they need a good basketball coach in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at the way the game is gone now, the movement up front, you can't be just depending on a fella just deciding, oh yeah, I'll take my man on. You got to have some sort of movement. We had no movement up front. No, the Gainies had it inside in the first half, but like I said, they were ploughing a lone furrow in there for most of the game, the two of them on their own, because the other 10 lads plus our goalkeeper was outside the arc. We're not going to win. It's very easy mark a team that way, and Donegal proved that.
That said, John, I mean, most supporters at the start of the year didn't want us to be winning games, didn't want us to be winning the league. They wanted to see new players bed in and the whole lot. Donegal were a very settled looking side, to be fair to them, and maybe having Mike Murphy coming back explaining the rules that they possibly had a good look at, and they have a good bit of work done. But that said, Kerry, most people went out the gate feeling a bit disappointed about the whole thing.
Yeah, a bit disappointed, Donald, you know, and like Liam hit the nail on the head there with a lot of the points. You know, the positive things over it. Jason Foley was very good, I thought, at full back, and Damien Buck did okay. Graham O'Sullivan outside, Dermot had a great game. You know, Shawnee kicked the scores. The gains looked lively, but you know, we were ponderous, we were lateral, we weren't breaking the tackle. I said last week here that it was great to see the Gainies taking on their men above in Celtic Park. We didn't do it the last day. We were over and back around outside the D, waiting for someone to have a shot. I suppose the sign of a good team, or a team that's settled maybe in Donegal, is like when Kerry got the goal, Paddy Clifford, one of the few times we took on guys, Paddy took on his man, got a bit of look at the rub of the green when he tripped over, ball across Diarm O'Connor, palmed it in it. But two super kick-outs by Patton. He found Jamie Brennan with one and Thompson with the other, and they kicked 2 points again. That's the sign of a good team to react.
And that's the second week in a row for Donegal, because Dublin were kind of similar. They pegged them back last week as well, and when they got really close, Donegal just moved to a different gear and off they went.
They did, and like even up front we were ponderous. Like we were sort of predictable in what we did. We telegraphed what we were at, and one of the ones that stands out is Killian Spillane. You know, Killian had shoot on sight before. He kind of waited, and Rorty came across him at a great. It was probably a block that won the game for them, because a point at that stage, momentum swings, you know. But it's interestingly listening to Jack after that, we're a bit behind in training, and we're a bit behind, and fellas coming back late, and you know, 2 or 3 championships in Kerry. You know, that's fair enough, and we do know what they're at. But I thought it was the style of play we had again. Our set up, yeah. And you know, we had plenty of ball, but when we came to the arc, Donegal were quite happy to go back, soak it up, and then wait for the break and turn over and up the field. And that was kind of the trend of the game, do you know?
again, looking at it, I suppose there's no Crokes players back yet. In a sense, we're talking about Mark O'Shea maybe going into the middle of the field to have a look to see what he's like there. You have Tony Brosnan, you have Burns, of course, to come into the match. You have Joe O'Connor, you have Dylan Casey, you have David Clifford coming back again. So if you were one of those players who aren't one of those 6 or 7 players coming back in, would you be saying maybe the next time, saying, God, this might be my last chance and I need to get up to speed fairly quickly, because there is good players coming down the back? And again, it's about finding players who, I suppose, at the latter end of the championship you kind of want to see, and this is where they're going to bed in, but a lot of them are failing the exam so far.
Well, they are, yeah. Like we said, when you have that Kerry jersey on your back, it's up to you to mind it. I think young Burke is doing a great job at cornerback at the moment, but he's a man marker. The rules are suiting him. He has a job and he does it.
So he's one of the few players
that's really standing out
at 1-on-1 battles.
Yeah,
he has that in him. He's got that I suppose defensive gene inside his head. He closes the gap. He's lively. He can cut across fellas fairly quickly. Are we looking for different style of backs now that we would have had traditionally?
Look, Donal, you're looking for footballers. No, we're going back to I suppose 15, 20 years ago, where a defender was a defender and a forward was a forward. And if you were a half forward now, the likes of Rory Murphy, the likes of Trent and all these guys, it's not good enough anymore just to be passing the ball over and back to the D.
Yeah.
You have to be penetrating the gaps. You have to be creating overlaps. You've got to be movement. You have to be doing something. Now, before, if you were a half forward, you could go back and sit in front of a full back line and do a job, and you might get on a ball and pass it, and it will slow up on this. These new rules now are really showing up footballers. And you have to come to the table with something now.
Yeah. Is there a danger, a positive or a negative one, that all of a sudden we need to look for different style of footballers because the new rules are producing different footballers? We need somebody to win a lot of ball midfield. Dermot Connor caught a couple of massive balls the last day, but you're still missing that kind of grafter to pick up the one that he doesn't get, that falls down. We didn't seem to win a lot of breaking balls in and around, or dirty balls like what maybe Liam would have said back in the day, ones that 60-40 against you, but you still competed. There's this,
and at vital times in as well.
At vital times,
yeah.
When you want to go. Are those players out there?
To be fair, a lot of the names that have been mentioned that have been in the training squad, I don't think there's too many more outside of that. Damien Burke certainly is a guy that is stepping up to the plate. Killian Trent, got 35 minutes the last day. A lot of people are surprised that he was pulled ashore, but look, obviously there's reasons for it, but he's another player that showed in the county championship and the club that definitely up to the level. What I'd worry about is the number of defenders we have outside there to come in. I'm not so sure how we're that many, and that's a worry, because it has been the Achilles heel of Kerry for a number of years. When teams run at us, we're vulnerable. We're going to be more vulnerable now, I think, with the fact that we don't have bodies back, or we can't have, maximum of you have to keep 3 above.
Yeah.
So it's certainly a worry.
Yeah.
Is that quality out there? The players that he mentioned having to come back, look, there's options up front, and we'll have plenty of options up front. Micheál Burns coming in there, Mark O'Shea around the middle, Joe Connor, and of course David. But I think defensively we got to look at guys. Is there, you look at Ryan McHugh, McCall, Finbar Rorty, Owen Bon Gallagher, just to look at Donegal the last day. Teak, tough defenders, Heather Morgan, ready to go when they get that chance. And Ryan McHugh gave an exhibition the last day, defensively and attacking. One incident, Liam, it was actually under us. He lost the ball. He went out over the sideline under the terrace.
Oh, that's right.
And another guy stayed down. But he hopped up and he intercepted the ball to Rory Murphy, who waited for the ball to come, and he was gone. That appetite wasn't in Kerry. For some reason. Look, maybe what's going on behind closed doors? Is there a hard block of training? Are they really worried about the league? Maybe not. But 'twas the style of play we played, coming out, walking up to the car lane the last day. Met a lot of people on the road walking up. The common denominator was disappointed with the style of play, disappointed with the attacking options, and it was the total opposite to Celtic Park,
to the week before, when you kind of robbed the game at the end. But a lot of those failings were probably there in Celtic Park as well, up until we got the 2 goals. Another disappointment from a lot of people on the text is our ability to shoot 2-pointers, our ability to go at 2-pointers. When this rule came in, you were sitting there 6-8 weeks ago, and you were saying, geez, we'd score 14 points on 7, no problem at all. We only took, I think, 2 shots over the whole game. Now, Donegal didn't take that much more, but the difference was they nailed 3 of them.
Yeah, but what Donegal did was they pinpointed, and it was just, and I know our listeners would hate me mentioning basketball the whole time, but they
safe enough with
they picked out the shooters. It's like a guy that's shooting the 3-pointer. If John beside me can't shoot a 3-pointer, I'm not going to mark him.
Yeah.
So every time Shawnee Shea got on the ball, they pushed up. Everybody else got on the ball, they pushed back.
Donegal identified
who the danger men were,
who the 2 kickers possibly were, and therefore we should have had a 3rd choice or a 4th choice or a 5th choice kicker that would get that space.
Or what you would be hoping for is that the other guys that would create a space, that attack a gap, bring in 2 defenders, and Shawnee off the shoulder then and give it. But there was nothing. So every time Shawnee got the ball, he was nearly standing when he got it, and there was 2 defenders in front of him. Whereas we need a pattern where we need either a midfielder or a half forward to drive down through the middle. Like Barry Dan's point was a typical one in the first half. He stationed himself inside the top of the old D. He received the ball in and he turned around and there was no one on him. He kind of shocked himself really, and he kicked it over the bar.
And he took his shot well.
But very rarely throughout the game did we have any man inside around the D. We were watching it. There was no man there, and it's like a high post in basketball again. If you have runners and cutters, you're going to create space for the likes of Shawnee to kick the point. If we go back to our man above in Shane above in Galway, see the space he's getting, Shane Welch, because they're creating space for him. We just didn't do it the weekend. I presume we will do it over time. We'll have to if we want to get 2-pointers, because you can't have, like I said, 10 fellas, that's including our goalkeeper, outside the big arc. You're creating no space.
Yeah. The surprising Donal was Tom Sullivan. Like, we spoke about it several times during the game. Like, he's a great kicker. He was so reluctant to kick the last day.
Was that because he kept ending up on the wrong side of where his left leg was? You know, I mean, like he wasn't arriving in the most natural point for him to kick that point. Again, it's probably the one thing that said, of course, about Kerry, I suppose, is we did show enough grit and determination to stay in the contest. We did find a wherewithal to get that goal, but when we got that close, we couldn't get any closer. Donegal, once our purple patch was over, they were able to move on fairly quickly at the reach to get those points. Would that be a disappointment for the management? It
could be, but it depends again. Jack was quite happy, I think, with the reaction of the players, with how they dug deep, the grit you showed. Yep. He picked out the guys we've mentioned there that played well. He picked out those guys as performing, and the comment he made is we need more guys playing at that level. But we're coming back to the training again. If you're heavy-legged, especially in the last 10 minutes of the game, with the new style of game now, the up and down the field, and Jim McGuinness was quoted after, when you see Ryan McHugh being substituted 2 games in a row, one of the fittest players in the country, it tells you about the new style and the transition from defence to attack. It really takes a lot out of the legs, and it's early in the year, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the other thing about pitches, of course, and the whole lot. That said, we have loads of comments coming in. And you'll be delighted to know that most of them aren't to do with match at all. I was dreading this kind of part of it, about the whole lot, but anyway, we'll rock through it. And I suppose if you're of the weak disposition now, and when it comes to media and printing, you might switch off for a minute or two. 2 match programmes don't cost me €6. They were total waste of time. Wrong teams in a preview written 3 weeks ago. Seriously, the G need to look at themselves in the mirror. I hope they will give out free programmes to make up for this next weekend. Why did Kerry J insist on charging people for programmes at the gate, knowing full well they were out of date? Donal, I felt very sorry for JMC on Saturday, apologising for the match programme while trying to give out all the changes. And then somebody who was late to the meeting says, why was it that Donegal got away with submitting a team sheet and then changing all the players and numbers? Well, to be fair to Donegal on this occasion, I presume they submitted the right team sheet, of course. It was just the programme was. And then another one's rounded off. Very poor to have openly sell a match programme with all the wrong teams named in it. Either tell the people beforehand, especially when you're taking €3 off them. And then we go back to our old friend Donal. How can the J charge tickets online and then charge you cash for a programme? It can only be one or the other. Donal, why can you tell me the J can't let you in the gate with a ticket and then you have to buy a programme for cash, and there's no programme wanting cash for their programmes. Yeah, that's a bit all over the place. Donegal were too fit, too sharp for Kerry. They had little trouble in creating good chances, a lot of unchallenged shots. They were well organised defensively, and they looked like a team that have a nice bit of work done at this early stage of the season. I think that guy has it all wrapped up nice and neat. Donal, getting back to more Fitzgerald Stadium, it took us almost 20 minutes to get into Fitzgerald Stadium on Saturday. Most of the people in front of us had no tickets on their phone, claiming they could not access their online tickets and they were just left in. Okay, we'll have to check that one out. I could not access my online ticket on Saturday as the Wi-Fi did not work. This is a problem when there is a large crowd in attendance. Why can we not just pay at the gate with a credit card? And then another guy says, why were there so few turnstiles open at Fitzgerald Stadium? It took an age to get in. And then Donal, can you... Oh, it's a different issue. Again, lots of issues, none of football issues. I thought they were all the match. Donal, can you tell the parents of young children that it is their job to mind them during games? I saw an old man getting knocked down when trying to come down the steps when leaving. A bunch of kids with no parents pushing their way very aggressively through the crowd. No manners at all. And yes, they were Kerry supporters. Are you okay there, John, after the fall you got? Couldn't get knocked over.
No.
That was very aggressive.
I was minding him.
He minded me as well. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, listen, we'll take a quick break, and after the break, we'll a couple more comments, and we'll look at the Corn Ui Mhuiri as well. There you go. Keep the comments coming in. Try and get some on the match as well, guys, out there. I'm sure there's a couple more coming in. Donal, well done to Killian Trent on Saturday. I thought he did very well in the first half. All of his passes were completed. He won a lovely kick out on the sideline as well. Many more established players had a large amount of turnovers, and they were left on all the way to the end. Donal, Killian Trent did really well. Ask John. Oh, there we go. Thank God, because I couldn't answer this. When was the last time St. Helens had a player at senior?
I'd say they had a few of them, Donal. They had Tom Connell and Johnny Horrigan.
I can remember Johnny Horrigan. He was around your own time.
Tom O'Connell, we played league football together, and Dennis Kennelly was a Kerry minor and quite a good one as well. But Johnny and Tom O'Connell were great servants to the Sinners and to Field Rangers, and they contributed quite a lot to Kerry that time, particularly in the league.
Had they a Welsh fella sometime in the 90s?
John Welsh,
he was there too, yeah. I can remember seeing
his domicile in Scotland now, I think.
Go on, I can see the names in the programme. So there you go, listener. You didn't catch John out unless there's about another 15 of them that you didn't him at all. But I think fair play to you. Donal, midfield. Donal, there was a big difference between the fielding. There's a big difference, Donal, between fielding a ball at midfield and picking up the breaks. We lost a lot of breaks again against Donegal. They were sharper and faster on the attack once they got the ball. We don't have players who can fight for dirty ball. The new rules expose any player who does not have drive. I think the Kerry players were just too used to the old ways. Even when we got the ball, they still wanted a hand pass. You were kind of on that train.
That kind of way of link,
Does it take an established player when you're I suppose, so conditioned into playing a game, John, all of a sudden the new rules come along? It must be hard to break that, even, I suppose, mentally as well as physically in the whole lot, to embrace a new set of rules where the game has gone from being maybe slow build-up, methodical, recycling, to one where you have to kind of maybe put on the second, third, fourth gear and move fairly quickly.
It does, definitely, Donal, and we've said it before. We have the kickers and we have footballers, but you know, you're playing to a pattern for the last number of years where it's slow. You can't give the ball in. You're recycling. You're waiting for the break. You're going lateral, crossing over the field. Now you're looking up. You have 3v3 there, space, and it's about getting it in there. And some of the players, they're a bit slow to do it, I'd say, not to give away possession, but the sweepers aren't back there, so there is space, and it's about adjusting to it, in fairness, you know. But when you add it all up, look, it's early in the year, the fitness levels aren't there, a lot of our established players have to come back, and that will allow then for the newcomers to come in and fit in even better and play. You know, when you're disjointed, when you're missing some of your marquee players, it makes a huge difference. And you look at Donegal probably had 12 maybe or 13 of their championship team on duty the last day, and it shows they have a lot of work done probably, and they seem to be more familiar, and they seem to be taking to the new rules quicker than Kerry are. You know, particularly like the solo and go, you know, they're alert, and but there's a few things we spoke about it after the year. That flick by Tyg Marley the last day, you know, we were 5 each. Like players did that before, and there was no penalty for it. It was brought up, and it was a 2-pointer. That's a huge difference.
It hurts now.
Yeah. But that's the adjustment we have to make, like.
Yeah.
And Tig and a lot of the Kerry team, they won't do that again, because look, it's you got away with that before. To slow down the game. Different outlook now.
Yeah. And Paddy, of course, got caught crossing the line and the ball was brought up as well. Donal, Donegal had much more up to speed on the new rules. Donal, why do we not take more options for 2-point scoring? We kind of discussed that. Can somebody tell the players that you don't have to stop running when you get to the arc and go lateral? You can actually go through the line. Something again a lot of people were probably saying this time. Donal, fair play to the Guineas for the second week in a row. They're not afraid to have a shot and take on their players. They've probably bedded rightly into the new rules, have they?
They have, because they're natural forwards.
Yep.
And
it's their game they've been playing.
It's their game, and like, if that was the old rule, like we said against Derry last week, and Donegal as well, no, they probably wouldn't have half the room that they're getting now. Whereas now, and I think it happened underneath us, John, at one stage as well. Donegal were attacking Kerry, and we heard McBrearty roar, one of the boys, take your man on. So that's the mentality now we have to get into our Kerry forwards, that you have to take your man on. And even the Donegal players are roaring. We could hear it plainly from the box. Take your man on, take him on. They're roaring. So that's what if you're a forward now, that's what you'll have to do. And that's like going back to the Darren O'Sullivan days, the Palais days and stuff, when you see half forwards just
it's kind of
dipping
risk
the shoulder.
Reward, really, isn't it? I mean, take the risk, you get the reward. You know, if you don't go out.
And you can actually see Donal as well a couple of times. Even Donegal, they tuck them in on, and next thing the space opens up in front of them, and they kind of panic a small bit. You know, because they're trying to get used to it. They're waiting for bodies to come at them, and next thing there's all this space in front of them, and there's panic a small bit. So
it's a long way to go, 40 yards out, one to get a goal. Donal, Jack must be really disappointed in some of the new players and those on the verge. Very few of them are holding their hands up.
Like I said, they need a couple of games. But I just like to see a lot of the basic stuff that we're not doing, we should be doing.
But there's a seesaw about the league, Donal, to be fair. The week before, we spoke about Oisin Gallen and Darragh O'Boyle. They were outstanding. Jason did a great man-marking job on Gallen. O'Boyle wasn't. He was anonymous in the game. So that'll tell you, the next day they could come up. So it's league football is so unpredictable. The games are so it's so competitive now, and the games are so tight. And you know, from one week to another, to swings and roundabouts.
Donal, how much of a disappointment was, or how much of a disadvantage rather, was no McGrath Cup, especially with the new rules? This is where we're really seeing that. And ask John Kennedy, how can Clover stream a junior game and yet RTE won't put a game like Donegal and Kerry on?
Yeah, it's a strange one, really. You know, I suppose there's so many games now, though, Donal. To be fair,
I would say, I'm not defending RT, but this was scheduled by TG
Carr hurling weekend,
2 weeks ago when it was meant to be on, and this is what happens when a game is cancelled and put on. I know I had a couple of fellas giving out, all right, that TG Carr had a rugby game with two South African teams playing it when they could have had this, but again,
it's scheduled. It's
scheduled, and they can't go back. And what was scheduled as well is a quick phone call at 6:30, of course, to a very important man as well. He was down watching Tralee Mounthawk versus the Sem of Killarney. Good evening, Andrew. Very welcome. It's nice to have you back. Are yourself and Liam not talking? You haven't been in the studio together in a while.
He's a fighting man.
There's a bit of beef brewing up there, I believe.
It's the airport derby. They won't meet in a neutral venue to play each other. Come here. No surprise probably with the result. Everybody kind of predicted with it. But was it tighter than most people thought, Andrew?
I suppose when you're looking ahead to the final last week, you're kind of saying, look, this Mercy Mounthawk team, they're one of those teams that you're saying, like, one of the great Corn Ui Mhuiri teams. And at the same time, it's St. Brendan's College, it's the same, they're 24-time champions in the Corn Ui Mhuiri. So you're kind of thinking heading into the game, myself anyway, that, look, I saw Mounthawk as the favourites. I thought they were going to win, but the same, they'll always put up a good account of themselves. And that's what happened in the final. It was a well-deserved win for Mercy Mounthawk, but without a doubt, the toughest test they would have faced in this campaign. Like, they beat Abbey CBS and Skibbereen by 20 points. They had a 12-point win over St. Pat's Castle Island, a 17-point win over Rochestown in the quarter. That was followed by another 20-point win over Bandon in the semi-final. So when you put it like that, that was a much tougher test for Mercy Mounthawk in that final. And the same, as I said, they put up a good account of themselves. They're a young team. They had some big chances to capitalise, but I think Mounthawk took their own chances and they ran with the win. And they're the better team, and an All-Ireland final in a fortnight for them now versus St. Pat's Mahara in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. Come here, a lot of talk, of course, about their bigger players all the way up and the whole lot. Paddy Lane, of course, the injury kind of healed up and the whole lot. He travelled out the field a good bit. Terrace stacking himself, and that was a quality battle between the two of those all throughout.
Absolutely. I mean, Paddy Lane putting up double digits throughout the campaign. You're kind of saying to yourself, if you're Terrace, that Jesus, you can keep Paddy Lane to under double digits, you're having a good day out, because he's that electric of a player. And those two would know each other an awful lot throughout the years. They would have picked each other up quite a number of times, and that was a fascinating battle with both getting their own on each other. But I was just so impressed by Paddy Lane. Mightn't have had his best day scoring wise, but you look to that second half, what a huge moment he brought out. Just when the Sem were getting back into the game, Mounthawk or the Sem had it back to 3 points. But then Mounthawk, they just decided to go up 6 again. They got 3 unanswered points, and then what a time to get the goal. Paddy Lane, he twisted and turned 40 yards outside the goal. You didn't think much was going to come out of the play. Dara staying right on him, but then all of a sudden launched the ball eventually into the target man, Tomas Kennedy. He retrieved it brilliantly and finished a beautiful goal. It was a great time to get it. It was just a piece of unbelievable brilliance from Paddy Lane. I think the crowd were kind of let out a big gasp after he did it. So, yeah, an absolutely fascinating battle at the weekend. A great defender versus a great attacker, and that's what you want to see when you're coming into Corn Ui Mhuiri finals.
Midfield, of course, is always going to be a big battle. Ben Murphy inspiring again, particularly setting up that first goal.
Yeah, Ben Murphy, he was awesome. I think he patrolled the middle of the field throughout the day, and that's no disrespect to this. I think Ben Murphy was the man of the match on the day. That first goal, he made it. As a lot of people say, that was Ben Murphy's goal. It was Padraig O'Halloran, the wing back, who finished it, but it was an unbelievable run by Ben, who just ran half the length of the field. He cut through that Sem defence. They couldn't deal with him, and he found the wing back, and Padraig, he coolly finished, and that was only 5 minutes into the game. You were thinking that things could start to get ugly for the Sem, but they were further aided later on by a brilliant save by Rory Kennedy, their goalkeeper. He a brilliant stop he made on Ben Kelleher not long after that. It was a beautiful ball in from Jamie Moynihan into Ben for that, and it was just when you look back in retrospect, that was a huge moment in the game. Of course, Rory later on in the game had the big penalty stop on Joey McCarthy, so he would have earned his stripes that on the day as well. Rory was just fantastic. The Sem did recover. They had some points just before the half-time break from Joey McCarthy and Jamie Moynihan. They had 2 scoreable shots as well, which went to begging, which I think that really would have stamped their mark in the game, and the game could have been a lot closer at half-time, but Mounthawk led by 5 points. The Sem did kick on though in the second half. It was the second and third quarter I thought the Sem played particularly well. They really put it up to Mounthawk and put up a good account for themselves, because they're saying to themselves, look, they're much better than what they were, and the tradition and the pride of the Sem will always take them so far into the game. Josh Bowler, Marco Carroll got a couple of points, and as I said, all of a sudden it was a 3-point game, but then this is when Mounthawk, they showed their class. Sean Corkery got a point, Ben Murphy, as you mentioned, on my man of the match, and Paddy Lane, and all of a sudden in a flash it was Mounthawk by 6 again, and of course then Tomas Kennedy got the goal.
And it's gas that you mentioned Rory Kennedy, because obviously we spend an awful lot of time talking about his brother. I mean, that certainly must have been a great household to come home with the brother saving a penalty and maybe getting the headlines for a change.
It absolutely must be. I'm sure he's delighted to get a bit more of the praise as Tomas would be getting sometimes, but that's a great sign of a sporting family when when one of the brothers can be top scorer on the day with a goal and 2 points from play, and your brother saves a penalty and a crucial save in the first half. So there's definitely reasons to celebrate in the Kennedy household over the last couple of days.
Finally, Andrew, Mahara up next to beat the Donegal gang that were tipped here a couple of weeks ago to kind of plough away through as well. Do you think coming back into this stage, having maybe the disappointment of losing the final last year, will kind of engage them or maybe re-energise them as well, possibly to have a right good crack at the Derry gang?
You'd have to think so. I mean, some people say you have to get to a final to experience what it's like, and for these Mercy Mounthawk lads now. They're one game off Croke Park once again. A lot of them who would have been there last year. That's what a lot of people were saying at the time, that look, this is a young Mercy Mounthawk team. We look at Paddy Lane, Tomas Kennedy, Ben Murphy, Daniel Kirby as well in the middle of the field. Also had a great game the last day. These lads are just aching and hungry to get back to Croke Park again. You could see it in the way they're playing. They celebrated that Hogan Cup, the Corn Ui Mhuiri win the last day, and I was at the final last year where they won over 3 CBS. I nearly sensed the last day that they were nearly celebrating this win even more. It felt a bit more special to them, because I think what they're saying to themselves now is, look, we're so close to it again. The heartbreak of last year losing to Oma CBS, a fantastic side that they were, to get to that final, to get to a Hogan Cup final, it's just such a special, so special, not just for the team, but for a school, for a community, for a town. And look, they're one game away now. I know it'll be St. Pat's Maghera, they're 17-time Ulster champions. That won't be any easy feat, and they might be unlucky in the fact that, you know, Ulster teams have been so strong in this competition over the last number of years that they have to face the Ulster team in the semi-final. It'll be Leinster Connacht. It's Mullingar versus Clare Morris in the other game. So maybe they're a bit unlucky, but if they get over the line against St. Pat's Maghera in 2 weeks' time, you'd have to fancy Mounthawk as favourites for the final.
Fair play. And you picked Naas, of course, to win it out, didn't you?
I picked Arts in the Turnode of a tie who were beaten after extra time, so hard luck to my fake alma mater, Arts in the Turnode. That was a great game as well. I know plenty lads watching that as well.
Good stuff. Listen, Andrew, the very best luck. We'll talk to you again next week. Take it easy, take it handy. And of course, a big shout out as well to Closh and Skellige, defeated in the B final, of course. Cashel Community College 1-8 to 1-5. A great goal by Ryan O'Connor there from Drummond, coming on there late to get a goal, but couldn't pull it back in time. Interesting enough, actually, on that one as well. That's the third year in a row that Tipperary have won the B at under 19 level, which is obviously going to count for something else. Thanks for the comments. Loads of them coming in. Thanks, Eilish. Hi, Donal. Kerry don't mark their men, and they should be going into Donegal faces. Only Sean O'Shea can kick from the arc. No other Kerry player will do it. What are they doing at training? They should be practicing putting the ball over the bar. And it goes back, I suppose, to the point that Liam was making, that, you know, they probably have the one kicker. They're trying to make space for him. They need something to work on. Hi, lads. Kerry were very poor, along with the bad results. The fraud of selling obsolete programmes was a disgrace, and the rip-off County Board alive and well. There you go. Big fan of the County Board. Hi, Donal and panel. It's no excuse to say Donegal have more work done than Kerry. Kerry should have the same work done as all the rest of the teams. I suppose that's fair enough. Everybody starts off on the same line there as well. Hi, Donal. Congratulations to the Kerry senior ladies and management on their good win on Sunday. Continued luck to all the Kerry teams and management, to the local club to assist there with Margaret Ann. After 7 o'clock, of course, we'll be talking to Dan Carney about that. And something, Ger from Lyre Compound makes a point that certainly was made a couple of times to me today in passing. Why does Shane Ryan come upfield just to pass the ball over and back when he's well capable of shooting a 2-pointer? There you go, John Kennedy.
Yeah, we spoke about it, Liam and myself, up on the terrace last week, Donal. If Shane was playing for Rathmore, he'd have shot 2 or 3 occasions the last day. Same with Tom Sullivan. I'm not so sure, are they instructed not to do it, or is it part of the planning, or what? But like, it's bringing up the player, it's creating an extra man for to take on the defence. But a kicker of Shane's ability, there was 1 or 2 occasions when he could have shot the last day, even if there weren't 2-pointers, Liam. It would be a score, but he didn't.
Yeah, Mike Breen impressed. Was going to get to him actually. Mike Breen coming on, of course, as a sub for Tadhg Morley. It's obvious that they don't want to kick the ball into the full forward line, and as there's no one in there. Mike Breen's performance was, I'd say it was wholesome, was it? Yeah,
he was impressive, in fairness, and great to see Mike playing, and hopefully he can put these injuries behind him, get a run, because he's certainly another one of the we'll call him a newcomer, even though he's been there for a bit.
Yeah.
He's a big part to play, and what he did the last day, he did with confidence, he did with authority.
Yeah.
And he was
he's
in
a
control.
player that is going to come into a central position as opposed to kind of a wing. Donal, our defenders don't defend, they're not touch tight. Instead, they let the opposition run the length of the pitch without a hand being laid on them. Where are our real defenders, says this caller. Hi Donal, I wouldn't be too hard on Kerry, especially getting used to the new rules. Yes, there's a lot of improving to do, but it's only the second game and they're still within touching distance of Donegal, and that is the point too. As bad as we perceived the game to be, we were within touching distance. That's from Charles. You never walk alone, Charles. I think you have your own problems this evening, Charles, with Plymouth, Argyll and out there. More on the programme. Hi Donal, went to 2 games on the same day, but one is telling me I went to 2 of them 2 weeks ago. What a joke of a programme. That's John Creedon. John, thanks very much for that. I dare say, John, you will have plenty more programmes by the end of the year and they'll all be in date and everything. Any thoughts of our county board selling programmes dated 26? The line-out numbers were completely out of date and confusing. It's an awful low. The county board, who are not getting a lot of love this evening. I think we've discussed that at this stage. Everybody knows that the programme is out of date and the whole lot. Hi lads, looking at these new rules in action, midfield is going to be very important as regards getting primary possession and setting up attacks. I think Jack O'Connor should try David Clifford at midfield. I said that 2 weeks ago. Thank you, Mossy. Fair play to you. And partner with Dermot O'Connor. He's very good over his head and he could also get forward and kick 2-pointers and get in for goals like Dermot O'Connor does. There you go. Perfect midfield partnership. The 2 Gs.
2 Gs in the middle of the field. But if you look at Donegal's kickouts yesterday compared to the Kerry kickouts, Donegal had a plan. They had a structure. We didn't really have it. We were kind of like the olden days again, that if the corner back is free, we'll tap it out to him. If not, we're driving it down through the middle. And that's where Donegal hurted us. When we got on top of Donegal yesterday, they were able to get their kick out away.
Yeah.
When Donegal got on top of us, we just couldn't get our kick out away. I think they pinned us down for 3 or 4 kick outs at one stage, and it hurted us. Whereas that's something that we'll have to work on as well, is our kick out. It's grand having our goalkeeper up around the arc, but his job is to get the ball out and to get it to a Kerry player. No, we can't be just like Patton. How many times did he hit the 65 and fellas running onto?
He's a fantastic kicker, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And again, he's a different sort of kicker. Like, he's there to kick the ball beyond the arc and into.
But they were running for him,
but
though.
he doesn't come forward naturally like some of the rest of them. Hi Donal, and the last one before we go to a break. Shane Ryan had great room outside the arc on numerous occasions, and not once did he have a go. Is this down to the management? Outside in Rathmore, he'd let rip every time, and he'd be well capable of scoring. Absolutely. I think they could have needed him the last night as well in these Kerry League. They only beat Donegal 2-8 to 2-7 or something like that. I don't know how many 2-pointers were kicked that evening. Listen, we'll take a quick break. Now let's take a look at some of the other pressing issues that popped up around, I suppose, the country over the weekend. Some of the unusual stories. People kind of like this segment as well. Have you a lot of sheep out in Curra?
Oh Jesus, don't know. we wouldn't be a sheep country out in Curra.
Would you know the difference between them though?
They're white and black.
Well,
a white one and a black one.
A white one and a black one. Well, here's an issue that cropped up very unusually for Roscommon GA. They updated their crest after using the wrong breed of sheep that appeared on it. Sheep breeders in the area alerted the county board to the mistake, which they have now rectified. Up until now, a sheep with a black head had appeared on the crest. However, the Roscommon sheep breed has a white head and a wavy white fleece, and the rare breeds of society are among those working to preserve the breed, have now been restored on the Roscommon jersey. And it's the jersey that cropped up. Remember, we were having a laugh that they played down a couple of weeks ago, and the jersey looked like one of those kind of Parma Serie A jerseys.
Right, the design,
with the things, yeah. So there you go. The
white sheep.
Yeah, the white crest
white head.
is on it. And one thing for John Kennedy as well, the Corrigan Park thing. Above in Antrim. Antrim, of course, have been drawn to play Armagh in the first round of the championship, as they're right. They came out with the thing first, the whole lot. But now they're kind of being, I suppose, told, well, look, it's a bit too small. There's only 3,500 people there, which actually is less than the number of season ticket holders from Armagh, the All-Ireland champions. On that, John, I mean, regardless of the venue, home venue is home venue, is it?
Yeah, it is absolutely, Donal, and it doesn't matter what capacity. I think it's a crazy one again. Antrim drawn at home against the All-Ireland champions. big day for the venue, big day for the county. And you know, I think Neil McMahon said to him last night, it's a kind of it was a fortress for the hurlers.
He was a bit watery on it, wasn't he?
He was a bit watery. You know, if you're drawn at home, why should you forfeit home venue? And regardless of the monetary side of it, regardless of how many season tickets Armagh have, it's a home game for Antrim, and I think I think it has to go here there. That's it.
It should be played there. Yeah,
it should be played.
Liam, on the same thing. I mean, there is this element that everybody's entitled to go to a game and everybody should be entitled, but the reality is the capacity decides. I mean, like, there's probably 400,000 people want to go to the All-Ireland final.
Exactly,
There's only 80,000 going in, and to be fair, I suppose when you take out the 40,000 tickets for other people that probably don't turn up half the year, there's only 40,000 people going to the game that are kind of real supporters. This is the same thing, really. It's just different numbers.
It is, and if you look at the FA Cup in England, you know, if you're drawn at home and if you can only hold 10 people, you still get the match at home. It doesn't matter, and I think Antrim are dead right to hold their ground, because look, they got the draw, so it's their home venue. So I see nothing wrong with it. But then you hear a lot of people saying that it's the GA again looking the money side of it. So I think they should let it lie now and let the thing go on, because they're getting bad publicity out of it themselves.
Probably right to flag it now, because
not to do with Kildare in it.
If you flag it 2 weeks out,
before
people are going to say, but I mean, they're getting a nice bit of publicity probably now. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they are welcoming the All-Ireland champions to their venue. The chances are that Ulster J are probably going to end up going to Clonus with it and lifting people out of your home venue, the whole lot. I mean, and it's not like the FA Cup. There is no monetary value back for moving out as well. And I suppose with the whole Casement thing, until that's fixed, Corrigan Park is their park and the whole lot. John, 37 years ago was the last time Donegal beat Kerry. This is like a weekly slot with you, isn't it?
Pick on John minute.
John's been on every losing Kerry team.
Can we get a jingle? Get a jingle going.
John, do you remember losing that one, do you?
I was reminded a few times over the weekend.
You were actually above, yeah.
It wasn't really your fault now, to be fair, because they didn't select you to start anyway. The team, Charlie Nelligan, Ken Savage, Ambrose is on a lot of those teams too.
He was reminded of that over the weekend.
Gerald Lynch, Tommy Doyle, Tom Spillane, Eamon Walsh, of course, Knocknagoshel, Dermot Hannafin, Desmonds, Tim Brosnan, Currow,
St. Kieran's captain.
Oh, very good. Donal McAvoy, John Mitchells, Jacko, of course, St. Mary's, Morris, St. Mary's, Michael McAuliffe, of course, Spa, Owen the Bomber was full forward for Bale, and Pat Spillane was there as well. And the three subs that came on was Michael Brosnan, John Kennedy, and one Eamon Breen. At least Kennedy scored 2 points when he came on.
Yeah, I remember Mikey Brosnan from Knocknagoshel, another great footballer. Son's playing with New York now.
That's right.
You know, that was don't remember too much about it, but a tough game. But the northern teams coming down that time, they were always well organised. They were tough. They were hard to beat, and I think there was a couple of points in it.
You played in 2000, Liam, did you?
Above in Ballyshannon, yeah.
Above in Ballyshannon. We
won that match, though, I think.
Are you sure? You won it. You had a bit more luck. You had a better team, to be fair. Look. And actually, uniquely enough with the pair of you, right? Neither of you started.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? You came on and scored 2 points and they lost, and Liam Brosnan came on and scored 2 points, replacing. Who'd you replace?
Mike Frank, actually.
Well done, fair play.
Frank Russell, yeah.
He remembers all the highlights. You did, you replaced, you scored 2 points as well. Good team as well. Declan Keefe in goal, Mike McCarthy, Kilcoman, cornerback, of course, Tom Sullivan, Rathmore, Enda Galvin, cornerback, Seamus Moynihan, Eamon Fitzmaurice, Mike Hassett, Dara Shea, Donald Dawley, Noel Kennelly, Derek Kineda, Aidan McGarrald, my God almighty, Mike Frank Russell, Liam Hassett, and Liam Murphy, of course, Guinegulla, corner forward as well. And the subs that came on, Tommy Griffin, Kenneth Dillon, Stephen Sullivan, Tomas O'Shea, and one Liam Brosnan, who scored 2 points.
Me split us in the semi-final above in Terrace, I think, in that time.
Well, you don't have to rub it into Kennedy's road.
No, we were beat. We didn't win it.
That was a good team.
We won the All-Ireland that year, though.
Yeah, that was a good team.
A good team, yeah. But that was a kind of nucleus of the 94 winning minor team, and then we had a good couple of under 21 winning teams then as well. 97, 98. You know, there was a lot of players coming through. You would have Ty Kennelly. You'd have a lot of younger guys coming through at that stage.
Yeah, and of course that league semi-final, of course, like I said, was played above in Torres. 4-11 to 118 Meath.
Yeah.
You were the backs were in trouble that day, were they?
That was a high scoring game, alright, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of.
I think Trevor Giles got a couple of. Did he get a goal or two?
That was a good meet team as well.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah,
Ali Murphy, Trevor Giles, Garrett.
Yeah, you came on again, of course, that day. Who'd you replace that day?
I couldn't tell you who replaced that day.
Well, it wasn't Mike Frank anyway. You replaced Aidan McGarrell.
Aidan, yeah.
There you go. Might get a job for you yet again. You never know. Come here. We're looking to Dublin next weekend, guys. Is there pressure on Kerry now? I mean, there's always pressure on Kerry. I mean,
especially at home.
We always say it, God, when we win it's great, when we lose people kind of take it very, very seriously, as I suppose good supporters do. What are we looking for? Are we looking for a win? Are we looking for a more positive or more polished performance? Are we looking for a better style of football?
I think we're looking at all of them really, but I think the better style of football, that we've learned from mistakes. That we're not just kind of looking over the shoulder and looking for somebody else to do it.
Will there be a lot of changes, John?
I don't think there will, Donal. I don't think there'll be too many changes.
The one thing about that, and I suppose it's gone under the radar, and we can thank Donegal for it now, by the very fact that we missed out the game in the first week and it was shoved in here, we're on the road 5 weeks in a row now. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of pressure on the panel, particularly if we're going through a heavy block of training. So they might have to rejig it by...
I think you might see the Crokes by...
Well, yeah, Gavin White might be back. Maybe Micheál Burns. He was talked the last day.
Joe O'Connor, I don't know. I can't wait.
It'll depend on those guys. But look, to answer what you said to Liam there, I think staying in Division 1 is crucial. I think that's going to be important, and blooding players. If we can stay in Division 1, blood a few players, and with the new rules and that, I think you'll be quite happy.
To be devil's advocate on that, Liam, staying in Division 1, is it as important? We saw Dublin go down and come back out and win an All-Ireland out of it. Is it the kind of place that you might have to end up...
I think
younger players maybe?
It is, but I think it's important for Kerry to stay in one, for the reason is that we have no Munster campaign. So you need to be playing decent teams. We can't be just waiting for an All-Ireland quarter-final until we get a good game again. So at least these games, you're playing the top teams. You know where you stand. We're in Division 2. You might be waiting until an All-Ireland quarter-final before you meet the bigger teams then again, and you just don't know. So I think it is important to stay in Division 1. Yeah,
and you probably pick up a lot of bad habits down in Division 2 as well.
Yeah.
And
that is hurting us.
The best 8 teams in the country are in Division 1, to be fair. Yeah. No room for error, to be fair. And you look at, I think McGuinness was quoted as saying they targeted the first 2 games to get points on the board. That cushion,
because they were afraid of games 3 and 4, which was Galway and Armagh, who were the All-Ireland finalists. And I suppose we have to be worried. The fact that's what's coming down our track as well. I mean, there's no easy game from here on out.
No, and our home games, and we've said it all along, our home games are important. No, but sometimes when you go away from home, you have less pressure on you as well as a player. No, but I think Saturday night is going to be a big game.
And another listener says, my advice is practice long range kicking all day. We need more 2-pointers in a tight game. Are you surprised that we haven't embraced that as early or as much?
I am really, but it's just, I suppose when you looked at the Kerry the weekend, you could see why we're not getting 2-pointers, because we're not creating the space. That's all that says. We need to create space. We probably have the kickers, but we need to create the space for them.
John, the referee last day, he was hardly noticed under the new rules, bar that 1 or 2 things where he moved the ball up 50 yards and people would say yes or no, but most people kind of accepted it and off they went. There was no big hoo-ha and the stand about it.
No, there wasn't, in fairness, and look, it's a learning thing for supporters, for all of us.
I think the supporters are enjoying it.
They're enjoying it, to be fair. No, there was 1 or 2 shouts at the linesman, I think, when maybe there was only 2 inside the halfway line and whatever. But the other thing, Donal, has to be said is we've a new management team in place. It takes a bit of time to settle in and to get their bearings, to be fair. Other teams that are there, they're settled. Galway, Donegal, Dublin. So it takes a bit of time to gel, and they're in transition, to say that. A lot of regulars missing, but I think that, like Liam said, the Dublin game the next night is a crucial game. It's a 4-pointer, really. I think if we win that, you're pulling ahead of the bottom 2 or 3 then, and that's important.
Will we win it? Can we win it?
I think we can. I think Dublin are not what they were. Definitely it'll bring the best out of both teams, and it'll be interesting to see the approach by both teams. won't be as difficult to break down as Donegal were, in my opinion, and that will afford us the chances to take on and to get those scores that we need to win the game.
Get your programme early.
Are you writing it?
Check the date.
Check the date.
Check the date on the programme. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I suppose, it has to be acknowledged as well that a lot of good work goes into preparing a programme, from the design to the information, the whole lot. And whatever way it works out, it'll be all forgot about this time in a couple of weeks' time when we move on to the next game.
It's a collector's item now, Don.
It's a collector's item now, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if you had
the most talk about programme.
Terrace Talk is the most talked about programme. We'll talk more after the break.